Yo, salute everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. To all my freedom marchers, freedom family, freedom lovers, and freedom fighters. Snapzilla Gorillas in the building, y'all. Good morning. Salute to Real Eyes in the building in Black Spring with Autumn. Salute to you. Thank you guys for coming through. Yes. I love it. Trying out this new intro I got. You know, I made this little intro so I could, play a little something as you guys start to come into the building. You know what I'm saying? Figure I'd try something out. But good morning. It is Thursday. Was it October 9th? Yep. Thursday, October 9th. 2025, and yeah, we all the way live in 2025, y'all. 2025 is the year where everything, well, not everything, but a lot of things come to light. A lot of things get exposed, right? You know what I'm saying? It's about that time that people start to wake up and realize what they're really up against. And the first act of any war is propaganda. Propaganda, right? That is the first act of any war, because they have to convince people that war should be there, that there should be war. So, and today we're gonna kind of tackle some propaganda a little bit. And we're going to shed some light on some reality that they don't want you guys to understand or realize. Now, I've talked about the black on black crime narrative. I talked about the statistics, the 13%, 50% bullshit lie. Number one, in regards to that, I debunked that narrative, showing multiple receipts in a live stream 6 years ago that I posted on my community tab. So you guys can go check that out. I did that 6 years ago. I called to light the bullshit surrounding the 13, 50% narrative that these people love to use. They like to call it a fact. Oh, it's a fact. If he's saying facts, he's saying facts. But these are facts that, you know, the FBI, these facts that we're talking about were compiled by the FBI from multiple police departments all across the country. So this data that they collected to come up with these statistics went through multiple hands, multiple hands of government agencies that, for whatever reason, people choose to trust when it suits them, or when it suits their narrative, or when confirmation bias is at play. Well, I never trust the government. I never trust information that they give to me. So when I look into this stuff and I show you guys the realities, you know, of course, people are resistant to it. They don't really want the facts. They just want to go with what they believe. But it's all good. We're going to talk about white on white crime today. Now, I've said before, there's no such thing as black on black crime, right? This is a false bullshit. I mean, the idea of black on black crime is completely asinine. Just the idea of white on white crime is asinine. But if we're going to put a name to this, then we're gonna throw it both ways. We're gonna take it from both ends, right? We can't just go with one. You know what I'm saying? We can't do that. Or we're being this is where a 17-year-old boy, yo, salute. Never fails. Anyway, I want to talk about this incident, this recent tragedy, where 2 girls were killed by a 17-year-old boy. A 17-year-old boy killed 2 girls. His in the boy's name, the little prick. His name is Vincent Battarillo or Battalero or whatever the fuck. Battalero. I don't know what the fuck how to pronounce his name. But the thing is, this is what happened. He was doing a stream, okay? He was doing a stream, and there was this young girl, her name is Maria, and they were having a discussion online, and apparently he tried to shoot his shot, and she basically refused, right? She was like, nah, I ain't rolling. She wasn't rocking with his advances, which, you know, he's 17 years old. He's shooting his shot. No, nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? He's a young man. She's a young girl. This is what happens, right? And if people get rejected, rejection is going to happen. Salute to Sunshine in the building. And her blind sniping motherfuckers. But apparently she started making fun of Charlie Kirk. Now, according to the young girl's family, he was stalking her, essentially, right? Now, they lived in the same neighborhood, or they lived close to each other. And we have to be careful. This is a lesson on how we need to be focused on what our children are doing on social media, right? We also got to think about that. We got to have that conversation. Now, Vincent got upset because Maria was making fun of Charlie Kirk. This is a major problem because this shows that Vincent Battallero, whatever the fuck his name is, suffers from cult of personality disorder, where you can't talk about his favorite guy or a guy he likes. Yes, is Charlie Kirk dead? Was Maria making fun of a dead man? Sure. But does that mean that Vincent had the right to cause any harm to this young lady? Because her making fun of Charlie Kirk did not hurt Vincent in any way. He was not violated by her making fun of Charlie Kirk. And this is what we have to understand on a broader scale, because people are shitting on Charlie Kirk in his death. Charlie Kirk said a lot of shit that people didn't like. Charlie Kirk, for all intents and purposes to many people, was divisive, racist, and bigoted. And yes, when he died, they shat on him. They didn't care. They had no empathy. And they have that right to not care, to shit on him in his death, using their words, and all that. Just like this girl, Maria. But see, that is not what Vincent thought. Vincent thought he had to avenge Charlie Kirk. He had to defend Charlie Kirk's honor. And what he did was he saw her in the streets when he was driving. And at 70 miles per hour, he struck Maria with a vehicle. Now, it wasn't just Maria. See, Maria had a friend with her. And collateral damage be damned. The friend was not talking shit about Charlie Kirk to Vincent. Maria was. But he decided to hit both of them at 70 miles per hour. Killed them both. Because she made fun of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk, who preached the message of free speech. He said hate speech is free speech. So you can kind of say that the people that are shitting on Charlie Kirk after he died is hate speech. But guess what? They have a right to hate speech. They have a right to free speech. There's no difference. But the people that say that they believed in Charlie Kirk's message, the people that use Charlie Kirk's name, right? The ones that say, oh, I love Charlie Kirk, this, that, and the third, he was a great guy. Oh, he wasn't divisive. Oh, he was a great guy. These same people are pushing for censorship because people are making fun of the very man they say they got behind. Vincent was a 17-year-old boy. Now he's a 17-year-old little prick. And I hope he gets tried as an adult and gets the death penalty. That's what I think. But Brandon Tatum, for instance. Brandon Tatum loved him some Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was so great to him. So great that aside from, not wanting to explore other threads in regards to the investigation of his death, not wanting to explore that, not wanting to get to the bottom of what really may have happened to Charlie Kirk. He is so close and so caring about Charlie Kirk that he is shilling for Israel, who Charlie Kirk said he was pulling support from. He lied to y'all and told y'all Charlie Kirk was about that life when it came to Israel. But then when Candace Owens came out and exposed the text message, he had to kind of backpedal. That guy, yeah, that's the same dude. The same dude that was supposed to be behind Charlie Kirk. The same dude. All these people. All these guys telling you that if you talk shit about Charlie Kirk, they want harm to come to you. They want you to lose your job. They want you to go to jail. They want you to get flagged. They want you to get put on some list. They want you to be labeled a terrorist if you say anything bad about Charlie Kirk. But where are these people talking about? Are they talking about Vincent Are they talking about this 17-year-old boy who killed a girl because she made fun of Charlie Kirk? Because I would say someone like Vincent, who was a follower, a cult member of Charlie Kirk, probably also listens to people and follow people and look up to people like Brandon Tatum. Brandon Tatum, who threatened violence to anyone that says something he didn't like about Charlie Kirk. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're black or white. Doesn't matter if you're a woman or a child. He just said anybody. What am I smoking? Whatever your mama gave me after I put that thing on her. That's what I'm smoking. After I gave her many back shots, she passed me the bowl. I'm sure it had purple haze in it, but you never know. But when I dropped it off in her drawer, she gave me whatever I wanted. Anyway. David Bell says, oh, Brandon Tatum do love him some white folks, but he loves money even more. And when white folks give him money, it's a happy marriage. So the bottom line is, this little boy, this little prick, killed a girl, 2 girls, because they made fun of Charlie Kirk. This is what MAGA has created. This is what the far-right extremists pushing the message of, if someone says something you don't like, harm should come to them. An impressionable 17-year-old boy took the life of 2 girls to protect Charlie Kirk's honor, because the people that push the propaganda, the people that use Charlie Kirk to push censorship, to push an agenda, to push a pre-crime bill that will not only affect the people on the left, but will also affect the people on the right. It will negatively impact the entire country. The same group of people that told you that the left was trying to censor everybody during the Biden administration, when they found out that the government was funding social media platforms to censor people on their behalf. Yeah, they're now doing the same shit. But they're not talking about how they're influencing young people like Vincent Badaloro to use violence to silence people that says shit they don't like. But they're not going to tell you that. What they're going to tell you, no one's going to talk about this shit. No one on that side, right? Brandon Tatum won't talk to you about this. None of these people will. They won't talk about it. They won't highlight the importance. They won't highlight the impact, right? They won't highlight that, the messaging. They won't talk about the messaging they put out to people that go against what they believe. If I don't believe what you believe, if you say some shit I don't like, I can kill you. I can cause harm to you. This is a major problem. It's a major problem because this is that division I was referring to. Chicago in the building. Speaking of Chicago, they love to go to Chicago whenever violence comes up. When people try to point out that, listen, white folks are dangerous too. White folks, 80% of the murders committed against white people are committed by white people. When you tell them that, when you say there's no such thing as black on black crime, because then you'd have to say there's white on white crime, Hispanic on Hispanic crime. Well, whoever you're in proximity of, that's pretty much, if there are killers within that proximity, if you guys are within proximity of each other, and there's poverty involved, well, typically it's going to be like that. That's where the crime is going to occur. The crime is going to occur mostly in those impoverished areas, and the victims are going to be those individuals in that same area because of proximity. No, you can't say anything like that. We can't talk about that. We got to talk about Chicago. We got to talk about Los Angeles and in these towns where these things happen. We can't have a nuanced conversation. Can we? We can't have a nuanced conversation. The conversation has to be about, it's not over. It's a brick. Y'all, give me a Romeo Lima Charlie if you guys can read me. Give me a Romeo Lima Charlie if you read me loud and clear. Because I'm going to get into thick as a brick, what he said. His stats are correct, though. The reason we can't have a conversation is because Dr. King's dream was not allowed to be discussion or identified to what character, so what could merge the perspective. Sunshine, why did you time out David Saylor? I don't think he said anything wrong. Salute to Heather Campbell. I appreciate it. So, now, salute to Realize. I appreciate you. Thank you, Realize, for being in the building. Because what's a lie? The reason we can't have a conversation is because Dr. King's dream was not allowed to be discussion or identified as to what character was, so we could merge perspective and perception around traits. Yes, Black Spring is dropping a link to my book. You guys go check that out. Now, even if they're lying, let them say what they have to say so that we can expose the lie. Now, his stats are correct. Whose stats are correct? Are you talking about Charlie Kirk stats? What are Charlie Kirk stats? Are we talking about the crime rate? Are we talking about the 13%, 50% stat? Is that what we're talking about? Are those his? You know what? Let's talk about that. These stats these people use, that everybody on the right use, right? The ones that don't give a fuck about nuance and don't care about conditions. They don't care about epigenetics. They don't care about history. We're only supposed to care about history when it confirms their bias. Let's talk about these stats. Do they belong to Charlie Kirk? Because when you say his stats, Sunshine said he was a plant. Who was a plant? When you talk about his stats, you're saying that these are Charlie Kirk stats. Help me understand what stats you're saying belongs to Charlie Kirk. And if you're saying they belong to Charlie Kirk. Because when I looked at the stats, they were compiled. How they arrived at this information is because they were compiled by the FBI from information they got from all these different police departments all across the country. So these aren't Charlie stats. Charlie did not perform any studies, or he did not do any research to gather these stats. He just looked at the FBI crime statistics and regurgitated them. Oh, MLK was a plant? He probably was. Who knows? Those aren't Charlie Kirk stats. He didn't do the work to get those stats. He just regurgitated them. And if he'd have looked further into the stats If he'd have looked at all the information within that he got those stats from in the FBI crime data, he would discover that white people commit the same amount of crimes as black folks, or even more in many cases, right? Per capita. So when you look further into these, and when you do deeper diving into that, you'll discover a little bit more information. I did this for you guys 6 years ago, and you guys can go check that out. There are a lot of factors involved, but he doesn't go into those factors. Neither does Ben Shapiro. None of these people that appear to be smart because they are spewing these statistics. The same one, Brandon Tatum and all these other motherfuckers, all these cats that they repeat and regurgitate without doing any research. Those stats don't belong to Charlie Kirk. They don't belong to anybody over there because they didn't do the research. They don't know anything about where this data comes from. So how do we know? Holy shit, I just got an alert of a breaking news saying that, let's see. Okay, what happened? It says 3 state police officers die in a clash with armed civilians. In El Paso, 2 Chihuahua state police officers plunged to their deaths when they came under attack. Ooh-wee. Okay, anyway. Charlie's narrative absolutely was speaking the truth. I don't know what that means. These YouTube can't even speak proper English. You want them. Huh? You guys, when you guys come on here and launch insults and you can't even structure a proper sentence and you can't even spell and you're not using the right words in the right context, it is really laughable. I don't know who you're referring to. Personal. These YT can't even speak proper English. You want then. If you're going to shit on somebody for not speaking proper English, you might want to write a proper English sentence. Wild. No, it wasn't. He twisted the truth. Yes, he twisted it was not the truth if you're twisting it. If you're twisting the truth, you're telling a lie. If you're twisting the truth, you're telling a lie. That's what you're doing. You can't twist the truth, and it remains the truth. If you manipulate facts and spin narratives, if you use facts and twist them to create a narrative, your narrative is a lie. Mr. Misfit, when did it happen? Well, when Vincent De La Toro or Ballatoro, whatever the hell his name is, Vincent Battaloro. Well, this happened October 7th, I think. Yeah, a few days ago. He had been stalking, right? He had been stalking this one girl, Maria, and he was trying to get with her. She rejected him. And then she was making fun of Charlie Kirk, and then he decided to run her over and her friend over. Yeah. So when we talk about violence and we try to assign violence to one particular group and then we ignore violence committed by another group, what are we being, y'all? What are we doing when we do that? One, we're being divisive. And two, right, we're being divisive. And two, we're lying. We're lying to the people, we're trying to convince the world, we're trying to convince our audience, the people that listen to us, that one people group they're the problem. We're not the problem. They're the problem. We don't have bad people on our side. They're all on that side. There was a some chick. You know, these people, they just come up, they pull shit out of the ass. They have no idea what they're talking about. There was this white lady who was talking about how she's afraid of black people just because they're black, right? That's what she said. I'm going to find that video. She basically said that all black people are bad, that all black people are violent and dangerous. That's why she doesn't like being around black people. That you're likely to get attacked by a black person simply because they're black. Saying that when she goes, she understands why when white people go into these black neighborhoods, they're afraid of getting hurt. When she's never going into a black neighborhood. She's never been around that. She has no idea what she's talking about. But see, it's because of the lies they tell you based on these statistics that they get from a government agency they don't trust any other time. How many times have they told you they don't trust the FBI? Especially when it came to Jan 6. How many times did they tell you that don't trust the government? But when it applies to something they believe or they want you to believe, that's when they trust the data. They trust the data when it's convenient for them. Someone says, bro, stop. No, you get the fuck out of here. Carl Henneman. If you want me to stop, you can just go on about your business. Don't ever worry about coming back. Don't come up here and tell me to stop. You got me fucked up. Everyone has the propensity to be violent and dangerous. You're absolutely right, Jimmy Reese. Some people just simply are not. Violence is not assigned to one group or another. You know what I'm saying? It's just, it has to do with environment. It has to do with how you're raised and conditioning. It has to do with your intent and how you want to go about life and move about the world. If you are an explorer, let's say you go way back hundreds and hundreds of years ago, and you're an explorer, and your idea is to go around the world, find what you can find what resources you can find, and, you know, enrich your nation, right? Well, there are multiple ways you can do that. You can do it through trade. You can do it through mutually beneficial transactions. However you want to do it. Or you can do it through violence. You can do it through deceit. You can do it through all those different ways. You have different avenues you can arrive at trying to enrich your nation. You can do it by spreading an empire, or you can do it by having communication and some form of connection with other people from different regions. When you encounter them and they don't behave like you behave, and they have a different culture, they have a different way of life, you can appreciate that difference, or you can say, these are savages. We need to civilize them, and those who resist, we will murder, grape, and turn into slaves. Now, when you look at that, when you look at the history of the world, if you really want to get down to the reality of it, when you really get down to one's propensity to commit violence, whether or not one particular culture has demonstrated and committed more violence throughout the world, throughout history, then you can go back and look at that and look at the reality. Who's more likely to commit violence against a group of people, even themselves, that look like them, that have the same color? They might just speak a different language. They might be barbarians, right? However, we have to justify it. They're barbaric. They are, yeah, they look like us, but, they speak a different language. That, right there right over there in that one land, right? That one land where, one group of people, yeah, they, like I said, they share the same skin tone, but they don't speak the same language. They don't wear the same clothes. They have long beards and long hair. We cut our hair and we're more civilized, and we have, you know, we do things a certain way. Well, it's who is more likely to commit violence against their own people and other groups of people that don't behave like them. If you really want to get down to the reality. Pixie Mermaid says, Joseph Thomas digs your hat. Is that, it's a Malcolm X hat. What's up, Steph Brown? Max Squire says, current day statistics, black males have majority incarcerated. Yes. Yes. And many of those incarcerations are unlawful. Because if you look at the statistics of the most exonerated group of people, then there's also going to be black people, black males. Black males are over 70% of the total exonerees in the country, according to the Innocence Project that did the research, they did the study, they did the work. But when we talk about one's violent nature and propensity for violence, if you look throughout history, Brandon Sampson says blacks. Blacks what? Double tap that screen. Yes. Hit the like button, y'all. Double tap the screen. That's all you got to do. Mr. Misfit said, clearly sent him over the edge. Well, yeah, it did. But Charlie Kirk, think about it. Muslims. No, because no, not Muslims. Nope. Try again. It's not Muslims. Try again. But Charlie Kirk was pro free speech, right? Well, this kid killed somebody because they made fun of Charlie Kirk. Brandon Tatum threatened anybody that disrespected Charlie Kirk in front of him. LOL buzzwords. You're the race hustling grifter. I am? Interesting. You can't even use the prop. It's not your, it's not Y-O-U-R, it's Y-O apostrophe U-R-E. Y-O-U apostrophe R-E. But think about that. No, it's not blacks. Incorrect again. Your name. Incorrect. Bear says black fatigue. Then why the hell are you here? Bye. Ha ha ha. We know the sometimes autocorrect kicks in on us. Well, you know, you have an opportunity to look at what you write before you press the arrow button. Someone says I'm petty. No, I'm attacking his spelling because he's launching insults. No, I can correct the spelling. He's not correct. Correcting their... No, hold on. What did he say, Sunshine? Correcting their grammar doesn't make you any less wrong. Well, they're wrong and they have incorrect spelling. That's the point. The point is, if you're going to launch baseless insults in incorrect information and try to make someone look like they're stupid, it's best to use the correct spelling is what I'm saying. You could be taken more seriously. But no, they're incorrect. They're incorrect and their spelling is incorrect. It is what it is. 1000% black fatigue. Okay, you can go bye-bye too. If you got black fatigue and you're expressing that, I don't know why you're doing it. You could just leave. It is what it is. Okay. Yeah. All you got to do, if you guys want to be blocked, all you got to do is tell me about black fatigue, because there's no point in you being here. Salute to Joe Butler. See, this is what they do in the chats, right? They do it on a larger scale when they have a voice. They detract, they distract. They don't want to talk about Vincent Badaloro, you know, a white boy killing 2 white girls because they were making fun of Charlie Kirk. And the overarching problem with that is that MAGA, the MAGA crowd, including people like Brandon Tatum, who's black, by the way, encourage this behavior. Why? Because they attacked people for speech. Because they didn't like what people had to say about Charlie Kirk after his passing. Y'all don't want to focus on that. And it's white on white crime. They don't want to point out the white on white crime. They don't want to point out the white on white crime and the white on white violence that's going on in Ukraine right now. They don't want to do that. No. They want to point to Chicago. That's all they got. Well, in Chicago, gang violence. Okay, yeah, that's a problem. But we also have a problem here. We have a problem there. We don't have to. We can address all the problems, right? If you don't have the solution to the problem, why do you keep bringing the problem up? Because you don't want all the other problems to be highlighted that have nothing to do with black people. TDS strikes again. There's what? This is not even about Donald Trump. This y'all talking points is wild as hell. Pixie Mermaid says, well, but we must all be responsible for our life's choices to respond regardless who's causing what. Yes. And then, but in order to be responsible for the problems, we have to acknowledge the problem and not try to distract and deflect from the problem by pointing out another problem that you really don't care about. Does that make sense? It is what it is. If you want to address, you have to address the problem. You gotta attack every problem head on. What this prick did is a problem. And it speaks to a larger problem overall. Because you got that church attack, you got that attack in Minnesota, that Minnesota legislator that was killed because she was a Democrat and the dude was MAGA apparently. You got Charlie Kirk's death. You have all these atrocities being committed, all these murders, but we don't want to address it. We want to dismiss it and sweep it under the rug. We want to blame it on fentanyl. We want to blame it on ASR, whatever the fuck you call them drugs that Kennedy was talking about. We want to blame it on medication when it comes to that. What? We don't want to hold the people responsible for committing these violent acts. I guarantee you, if they can find a way to make excuses for Vincent Badaloro for killing those girls, that has nothing to do with him just being a little prick, they will find one. If they find out that he was on Ritalin because they had ADHD, or if they find out anything like that, that's when they'll talk about it. And they'll sweep it under the rug. But when it comes to the people in Chicago committing violence, it's just in their nature, right? Oh, it's in black people's nature to just be violent and they just want to kill somebody. Yeah, that's what it is. It's just in the nature of the black folks. When it comes to white people killing people, no, it has to be a mental health issue. It has to be drugs. It has to be, oh, yeah, it's the medications. Okay. Okay. Jason says it's not in their nature, it's in their culture. Whose culture? I know you don't want to go there. I know you don't want to go into whose culture it is to go around the world committing violence against people in general. Who has a track record for that? Who holds that crown? Just look at the world. Look at the world. Look at Australia. Look at the United States. Look at South America. Look at the Caribbean. Oh, we don't want to talk about a culture of violence, do we? Do we want to talk about that? Barbary Africans hold the crown. No, they don't. No, they don't. No, they don't. Not even the Moors have the crown, because the Moors, they went around conquering parts of Europe, but they ain't got shit on the folks that took it to the next level and beyond. And to this day, what they're doing, the Forever Wars, who's orchestrating and planning and executing all that? Who's perpetuating that? If we want to get into the culture, no, we don't want to talk about that. Sherry Sam says, as a Canadian, we think there's too much gun violence in the U.S. Doesn't matter what color. Well, there's no such thing as gun violence. There's no such thing as gun violence. It's people that commit violence using tools, right? A gun is a tool. It's people committing violence. There's no such thing as gun violence. People use tools to commit violent acts. You see, because Vincent Battarolo, he didn't use a gun. He killed 2 people with a vehicle. Are we going to refer to that as vehicle violence? Car violence? No, you don't do that. When you strike somebody on purpose with a vehicle, you don't call it car violence. You call it what it is. That motherfucker committed a violent act against another individual using a car. It's the same thing with a gun. See, that's a euphemism. When you say gun violence, that's a euphemism for people. You're talking about people committing violence, but in order to prohibit the thing that they used, because they want to prohibit the public from using said tool, they will assign the violence to a tool. An inanimate object that cannot act on its own cannot commit violence. It is what it is. I'm not making sense. Tell me what makes sense then. When people, salute to the beautiful Desiree Oliver, my YouTube wifey. Oh, well, I was talking about, so Desiree Oliver, there is a young man, a young white boy named Vincent Battarolo, who killed 2 white girls because they made fun of Charlie Kirk. So, I'm just pointing out that white people commit violence against white people. Since they love to tell us about black on black crime. Yeah, I'm just pointing out the fact that white people commit violence against white people. But they don't call it white on white crime. Yes. He was stalking her. He tried to get with her. She said, no, hell no. But what really set him off was when she made fun of Charlie Kirk. It is a double standard. Now, when it comes to the 13% of the population, how do we know that we're 13%. How do we know this? How do we know that for a fact? Where do they get this information? How do they know for a fact that they're only 13%? That black folks are only 13% of the population. Where do they get this data from? The census? How many people tell the truth to the Census Bureau? Because, you know, in a novel that I read, where they talked, in a novel, in a fictional novel, there were people that said there were a lot of black folks when the Census Bureau wanted to get their information, they told them they was white. People lied to the Census Bureau. Y'all know that, right? So not only do we have to trust the Census Bureau, which is a government entity, we also have to trust the people that are giving the information to the Census Bureau. Desiree Oliver says most homicides where the victim perpetrators know each other, specifically romantic relationships, are Caucasians. Desiree Oliver, you can't say that though, because they'll sweep that under the rug and they'll assign it to mental health issues and drugs and, fentanyl and, SSRIs and all these different things. It's the bullshit, right? You can't say these things like that because that's reverse racism. No, you can't talk about that. No. But okay, Desiree Oliver, let's say you're right. Chicago. And another thing is, okay, you say where the victim and perpetrators know each other, is that including or not including gang violence? See, this is what they do. People lie about their race in the Census Bureau all the time. What? I just admitted the story was made up. What? People lie to the Census Bureau. That's a fact. They lie to the Census Bureau. They lie to them. They don't tell them the truth all the time. The Beautiful Sunshine says, according to my law books, census and stats are based off bias and incomplete information. And let me ask y'all, why are they so concerned about what race you are with the Census Bureau? Because they'll tell you, oh, well, we need to know how to serve what community and we need to know what to give. And well, it shouldn't matter. If how many blacks and whites they are, they all, they're all under one government, right? Every individual should be equally served by their government. So why does it matter what race you are? It shouldn't matter. Serve the people's needs based on their environment, based on where they are, and based on what services they have. It shouldn't matter what black people they are. Whether it's black people, are they American citizens? That's the question we should be asking. If they're American citizens, bada boom, it doesn't matter what color they are. Yes, Desiree Oliver, they do be that sometimes. They be a little slow. They don't like to read. They don't like to comprehend. They like to pick and choose. People are, okay, that's a problem right there. It says, none you Benny. People are maggots for disagreeing with you and correcting your verbiage. Oh, boy. Black neighborhoods get landrow mats and fried chicken. White neighborhoods get high-class options. Well, you also have to consider who's investing in the community. No one is investing in the black communities, right? The idea is that once you reach a certain level of wealth, you abandoned the black community and you've made it out, right? That's the whole point, is to make it out of the hood. So no one has any interest in investing in black neighborhoods. Once you reach a certain level, you get out. And when you do try to give back to your neighborhood, then you're limited, especially depending on how you got your wealth. Especially if you're like a celebrity, if you're a black celebrity who got money and status because, the industry brought them up, they're not allowed to give back to their community to a certain degree. They are conditioned and trained to abandon the black community. No one invests. You just have to invest. You have to invest in the neighbor. You have to invest in the community. You have to show them, look, we don't have to live this way. We have in the United States, we have a black net worth in the hundreds of billions of dollars. That's enough to invest in your community and help clean it up, show a different path. But they don't do it, right? It is what it is. They are taught to leave and abandon the community once they make it. Oh, I can't go back there. I can't look back. No. You can't make any meaningful change within your community once you reach a certain level and have a certain level of status that they allow you to have. I forgot who that was that said that when it came to the Flint, Michigan situation, who was that? There was a black celebrity that said when it came to the Flint water crisis, which is still going on to this day, they said they wanted to actively and directly help clean up and fix the water issue, right? Because it has to do with the systems, the water treatment facilities, the pump stations, cleaning that up, replacing pipes. It takes a lot of work. Well, there were black folks, wealthy black people. I forgot who that was. I think it was a basketball player. They said that they reached out to the Flint leadership, and they were told to mind their own fucking business, to stay out of it. Don't worry about it. Yeah. Joe Butler says, never go back, always move forward. You can move forward you can lift your people up. You can help everybody move forward. Just got to invest. It doesn't take a lot of work. You don't have to go back every day. No, you can put certain people and programs in place to help uplift your community. It just takes the ability. It takes the balls. Sunshine says the census were known to go to people of color homes and literally force them to accept whatever they gave them. It is what it is. I mean, I don't trust the Census Bureau. Scotty Pippen 33 says Jeffries got cornered and asked why he don't vote yes on the Republican CR bill. Y'all know how I feel about voting. I thought you were about living out on your own. Now it's community. Mikhail Gorbachev, what are you talking about? What I talk about is freedom of choice. So whether you choose to be part of a community or live on your own is okay, as long as it's your choice and it's voluntary. What are you talking about? I always talk about voluntarism and how if you want to be a part of a community and participate in the customs and culture of that community, that should be your choice. It should be voluntary. I always talk about that. Go ahead and misrepresent what I say. It's okay. People always do it. You have to make me wrong, so you cherry pick. No, I always talk about people forming communities, sovereign, independent communities without some big daddy government dictating how they operate. And everyone within that community existing and participating voluntarily within the customs and cultures of that community. It's simple. Sunshine says, so if the census has a history of working with the KKK enforcing false identity upon us, why would I trust anything they write down? You shouldn't. I don't trust anything the government does because the government consistently lies. They get caught up in lies. They push lies. They're allowed to lie to incriminate people so that they can get them locked up. Why should I trust anything the government says? That's that cognitive dissonance I'll be talking about. Exactly. If they couldn't dictate, they couldn't use talking points and lobbyists on our heads, over our heads. Exactly. Because that's who they represent. They represent the special interest groups, the corporations, the banks, and the PACs that send their lobbyists to Congress to move and shake, wheel and deal, to grease palms. You understand what I'm talking about? We don't have that. You will never be truly represented by your representatives. Because the representatives, once they get in place, they don't have to represent any of your interests. There's nothing that dictates that. There's nothing. Lobbyists are allowed to do this. Yes. Lobbyists, it shouldn't be. So you say lobbyists should be outlawed. Well, in reality, there shouldn't be a system in which a lobbyist can lobby. Do you understand what I'm saying? There shouldn't be so few individuals with so much control over what happens to 350 million some odd people. There shouldn't be so few people that can be influenced by lobbyists to get what they want. The problem is the system that's in place that the lobbyists go to manipulate and get shit cracking the way they want to get cracking. That's the problem. Right? Yeah, because we don't have access to these people like the lobbyists have access to them. Some of these lobbyists are former representatives. That's why they were talking about creating a law where you can't, once you get out of Congress, you can't go work for any of these corporations in any capacity. You can't be on the board because these are promises these lobbyists make to these representatives. Other than giving them donations, they also promise them positions. They promise the positions to them. Well, term limits. In order to get term limits, you have to go. It takes a lot. It takes a lot. You have to amend the Constitution to add term limits for these people, which means that you have to get 2/3 of the state or 2/3 of Congress to agree to propose the amendment. And then once the proposal goes through, you have to get 3/4 of the states or 3/4 of the legislature to agree to the change. It takes a lot. It is what it is. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you for coming through. I'm going to get out of here. Listen, if there is a such thing as white on white crime, a black on black crime, there's a such thing as white on white crime. If there's not a such thing as white on white crime, there's no such thing as black on black crime. Period. The same people that tell you they don't see color. Let me point this out. The same individuals that say there's no such thing as race and racism, race this, race that, race is not a thing, race is a construct, are the same people that are telling you there's black on black crime. Imagine that. Imagine these inconsistent hypocrites trying to tell you how you should view a certain group of people and ignore the flaws of another group. Either we're all flawed or we're not. Right? If there's no such thing as white on white crime, there's no such thing as black on black crime. That is the point of this whole conversation. Cause see what happened with this little prick who goes by the name of Vincent Bataloro, what he did to Maria, her being white had nothing to do. It did not stop him from running her down. You get what I'm saying? It did not stop him. He was a nut basket. Not in the case of, not like psychologically. No, he was evil, a violent person who decided to kill someone else. And race did not enter into his mind. He didn't say, you know what, she's white, let me not do this. He didn't give a fuck. He didn't care at all. You know what it was? You know how he was able to do this? Because she lived in the same neighborhood as him, the same area. Proximity. Proximity. So if it's in your heart to commit violence against another person, well, proximity is going to be the first thing that will get you to where you need to go. Proximity. All right. So anyway, I appreciate you guys coming through. I appreciate your comments. I appreciate the like. Let's hit the like button, man. We should be over 100 likes. All you got to do is double tap the screen. If you got any value in what I said, or, you know, even if you disagree, you should still hit the like button. The country needs God. Country needs sense. The country needs to free itself of the false god known as government. Yeah, because government is behaving like a false god. We need to rid ourselves of these false gods that try to dictate to us how we should live our lives. And they use the word of God to do so. That's what we need. Anyway, God brings sense. All right. It is what it is. Much love. Thank you guys for coming through. Please hit that like button on the way out, man. All you got to do is double tap the screen. It is what it is. I appreciate everybody for coming through. We need to come together. Communications is ever at our fingertips. I agree. We do need to come together and focus on the real enemy. The real enemy, they're the ones pushing the narrative. They're the ones pushing the division. And when they go against that, look what happens to them. What happened to Charlie Kirk, in my opinion, was due to him pulling away from that divisive language, pulling away from that divisive rhetoric. And he started to regain focus, right? He had a realignment. He just didn't act fast enough. And so when you go against that, it is what it is. Anyway, much love, like, share, subscribe, and let's keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.